my God, what happened to care homes? I think a lot of you guys have a love-hate relationship with that intro, you know? Guys tell me, oh, stop it, man, it's gay. And I see comments saying legendary intro, so I think it's only right it stays here if you love it or hate it. Well, recently, in order to cut immigration, the government has decided to start putting things in place to bring this, what's it even called? Hold on. They call it the social care visa, but it's the health and care visa. Well, yesterday, Yvette Cooper did an interview where she said time to end care worker recruitment from abroad as she pledges lower skilled visa crackdown. Yvette Cooper pledges up to 50,000 fewer visas for lower skilled workers. One thing I do remember from my A-level law lessons is it's green paper, white paper, debated in the House of Commons. Like, they debate it like, I don't know how many times. Like, there's like 5 different stages. House of Commons agrees, then it goes to the House of Lords. House of Lords debate it again, and then the King has to sign on this, and then bang, it's brought into effect. It's now law. Many people think the House of Lords shouldn't exist. I partially agree, because they have the power to stop laws, and the people don't elect them, bro. So it's a little bit messed up. But you know what? Things are how they are. But today the government published their white paper for these reforms to this visa. If I remember correctly, I think the green paper, I don't know if they did a green paper for this, but I'm sure the green paper is optional anyway. I don't think you need to publish a green paper. I mean, thinking about it, if I'm correct, I don't know why they would do a green paper for something like this, which a lot of people are not going to be happy with. Because I think a green paper is used mainly to see what people think about what they're proposing. A higher skill level will be required for skilled worker visas. Currently, jobs to skilled RQF3, i.e. A-level equivalent, are generally eligible on the skilled. What? Okay, that is mad. So you're telling me just with my A-levels, I could get a skilled worker visa to come here? I don't consider having A-levels skilled. Me personally, I don't. Do you? Let me know in the comments below. It's expected that this change will mean that at least 180 occupations will cease to be eligible for skilled worker visas. Wow, man. That's a lot of businesses that are going to be affected by this, man. A lot. They're going to create a temporary shortage list for less skilled roles. And the roles will only be added to this list if relevant employers have put in place a strategy to increase recruitment from the domestic workforce. Which is fair. It's fair. But reading the first part, this has me worried, because this is going to affect, like, think about it, like retail, food workers, like hospitality, cleaning jobs, like construction, like also on top of social care, you know? It's going to affect a lot of people. Obviously, these big companies, they'll still find a way around it. But because we're only at the white paper stage, it's going to be a while before this gets passed. I'm not sure how long on average it takes laws to pass, but it's not a quick thing. Even if it does get through the House of Commons, the House of Lords that is selected by nobody is just gonna, they could just say, nah, we're not doing this. And it says the social care route will be closed entirely to new applicants from those living overseas. Well, new applications from those living overseas. And people here on the social care visas currently will have until 2028 to sort something out. New restrictions on dependents. It will be harder for migrant workers to bring dependents with them to the UK. Additionally, there will be tougher English language requirements for dependents. They will need to demonstrate that they are basic users of English when they apply, and will be expected to show improvement over time when extending their visa or applying for settlement. I mean, this one, in my opinion, it does depend on what type of person is coming, you know? If it's somebody coming over who's coming to a job where they're going to be earning 6 figures, then why would they not be allowed to bring their family? That doesn't really make sense. The standard qualifying period of indefinite leave to remain, settlement, and citizenship will be increased. I mean, you guys know I complain about there just being too many people in London, let alone the whole, I mean, because the UK is a tiny place, bro. Like, my main concern is I don't think this place can support all these people, bro. Now, London is ridiculous now, bro. The traffic is too bad. It's so bad, it's just too bad, bro. And you see them building new flats everywhere still. It's like, that's just going to be more traffic, bro. Like, the traffic is out of control in this city. And you can't park anywhere. I'm going to make a video about parking tickets, bro, where I explain to you guys how you can avoid paying for these parking tickets. Because I got a parking ticket for parking in my own freaking building, and I also got a parking ticket for parking on the main road, because on the pay by phone parking app, I accidentally paid to park my cousin's car instead of my car. Like, bro. Also, student and graduate visas will be reformed. Graduate visas will only last for 18 months instead of 2 years after the graduate has completed their studies. Further, the government is considering introducing a levy on higher education providers on income from international students. Damn. I don't know what type of additional tax they're going to introduce on this, but hey, that's what they're planning on doing. But as this article from the solicitor says, we don't know exactly. A white paper is very early stage in the legislative process, which is true, bro. Once it's gone through the House of Commons, been debated all them times, through the House of Lords, been debated all them times, bro, it's going to look way different to this. Like, it's not going to look anything like this. It's going to be so many, like, it's just mad. Like, it's going to look so different once it finally reaches the later stages. Now, my uncle, God rest his soul, he passed a long time ago. I didn't really know him that well because when I was young, he was living in Canada and then he had a stroke. And then when I was young, he came back to England. And he only got sent back to England because his wife wasn't trying to take care of him in Canada. So she sent him back to England and his job out there, because I think he was a high skilled like electric engineer or something he was doing out there, some madness in it. Everyone in the family always tells me like, yo, that uncle, like if you got to experience him in his like when he was well, like he would have been like the best uncle to have, you know what I mean? But his work like gave him a big payout, you know, they gave him a big payout and his wife tried to take all of that and she ended up getting none of that, you know what I mean? Like it's just a whole load of kabaffle when I was younger, you know. I think she still kept the house in Canada, but hey, because when he was ill, when I was very young, like I remember we was in Canada for weeks. Like that was my first and only time where I went to Toronto and it was freaking snowing, bro. It was snowing like mad. I don't think you guys understand, yeah, like in Toronto the snow gets so mad, like they've got a whole underground system of tunnels and that. He was staying with my grandparents for a while, but they ended up not being able to cope, so he had to go into a care home where my granddad visited him every single day for years. Every day that man did not miss one day. And I got peeks at the letters, the fees that it was costing to be in this care home, bro. It was like over £1,000 a week. Talking like 10 years ago, bro. 10 years ago, it was like over £1,000 a week. And you'd expect for that much money for him to be in some premium, nice, like, you know, luxury care home. I'll show you. This is the first one he was in. It's in Wembley. He was here. It was right by the police station here. And you know the maddest thing? I was in a car chase with some crazy guys trying to get me down, bro. And I was driving around here, bro. I was driving around here, bro. I remember these lot wanted to kill me, bro. Remember, I was staying around. I remember I even led them to the police station so they would fuck off, but they didn't, bro. They didn't. But we ended up getting away anyway. And on the inside, it was okay. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was okay, but £1,000 a week, like what? In 2015? And then the other care home was this one. We moved him from this one to the one in Wembley. This one was in Southall. Just looks like a normal yard. This one I think was less expensive, but I remember it's still got the same name. I'll never forget these places because I spent so much of my childhood in these places, you know. Hey my people, Chung Lee asked if you could leave a like on the video. It'd be very much appreciated. Helps boost me up in the algorithm. Doesn't cost anything. My phone's going off. How rude. I apologize, but like the video please. Thank you. And I even remember that age. There's something I regret doing, but I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I texted my uncle after he's had a stroke. He's not in the right mental place, you know. I texted him, I hate you, because he was taking up so much of my mom's time, you know. Like, and I just, younger me, I just did not like it. I just felt annoyed, you know? Because at the time, that's the emotions that I was feeling. Because, like, my mum had barely any time for me around this period, you know? But that's her brother, man, you know? And that's my uncle. And I wish I got to know him better. But I told you guys that because when I saw the fees that my family were paying for my uncle, I had it in my head that I'm going to get older and I'm going to go and start a care home business, like, straight away. Because that's bare bread. So I've looked into this. I looked into this when I was in freaking uni, bro. And as you guys can see in this article here, it talks about the effects of chain ownership and private equity financing on the quality in English care home sector. Retrospective observational study. Out of the 10,803 care homes, 6% were known to be backed by private equity chains and 21% were non-private equity chains. Care homes in private equity chains tended to be larger, around 60 beds per care home, compared to the non-private equity chains with an average of 48 beds per care home. And it says 58% of the care homes were run by independent for-profit providers. Despite the chain penetration and the lower bed size of around 30, we'll round it up, 32 beds than the for-profit chains, private equity and non-private equity, these providers held a larger market share in terms of beds. So we don't know if that's the case now, but most care homes are run independently in the country. I'm going to link this study in the description actually, because it's a great study. But this article that was written in late 2023 says deprived areas risk going short of care as quarter of providers mull quitting sector, while some self-funders are being priced out of services by cost of living, finds regulator state of care report. So if we go off of what we read on that previous study, that 58% of care homes are run independently, a quarter of that is 14.5% of care homes in the UK were thinking of shutting down simply because they didn't think it was worth it anymore. Because you need to remember, guys, like the cost of living has gone out of control. In the winter, you know how expensive it is to heat up your home. Can you imagine having to heat up a care home full of elderly, in-need people who cannot be freezing in their beds? And on top of that, with what their families are paying, they'll kill you if they found out their loved ones were freezing in beds anyway. Then on top of that, you need to get the workers. If it's a care home with dementia patients, I understand. One thing I know is, like, for people that have dementia, you need to have a special type of qualification, you know, and they get paid a little bit more if you know how to deal with people with dementia. I'm sorry to anyone who's going through dealing with a loved one who has dementia. That must be so freaking hard. Like, no, jeez, terrifies me thinking about that, man. Because I watch EastEnders, yeah, and even seeing Nigel's decline, if you watch EastEnders, you'll know who Nigel is. It's terrifying, you know, it's really scary. But one reason I like EastEnders is because it covers real life issues, like real life problems, you know, and it educates people about things. Care workers are very underpaid. Nursing home workers, they're already very underpaid, and they have to do ridiculous hours. They're gonna have to do overtime, things like that. And my cousin who works in a hotel, he's told me that when you're getting paid a salary, working overtime makes 0 sense, because the majority of it is just taxed. He said working overtime for him doesn't make any sense, which is ridiculous in my opinion. But hey, you know, things are the way they are. You need to have people managing the medication. You need to have people cooking the food. You need to have so many staff, bro. And on top of that, you need to answer to the Care Quality Commission, who, if you're not following their regulations, they're gonna shut your ass down. Like, just look at all of this. Look at all of this, bro. Look at all of these regulations you're gonna have to adhere to. This ain't cheap. If they say, yo, all care homes need this new £10,000 piece of equipment, you gotta go buy that piece of equipment, or you gotta finance it. You have to, even if you might be operating at a loss. I found this article from early 2023. Owner of UK care home group paid himself £21 million despite safety concerns. And he paid himself this much despite inspectors finding multiple breaches of rules at his firm's care homes. Paid himself £21 million in 5 years. They charge residents more than £1,000 a week, with bills often covered by the taxpayer. If I remember correctly, I remember my mum I have these vivid memories of these conversations, you know, because it was a weird time in my life when my uncle was in this care home. Because my uncle had all of his assets in Canada, he was eligible for the council to pay some of the fees. But because we didn't want him in a terrible nursing home, like, we covered the difference, innit? Something like that, yeah. But I think if I'm correct, most people are paying for the nursing home themselves. I think it's like less than half that are funded by the taxpayer. And clearly his nursing home's doing well, because I looked at it and there's some with margins of like 25%, which is absolutely outstanding. But there are also some with low margins, like maybe 2%, or some taking a loss. It all depends, because if the Care Quality Commission comes, does an inspection, sees, yo, this ain't right, that ain't right, that ain't right, you're gonna have to spend a bunch of money to make things right, and then you're not gonna make money for like a year or two, depending on how much it costs. But on the other hand, if your margins are amazing, you're probably understaffing your homes. You're probably overworking your staff. You're probably not recruiting staff from the UK. And in all my years going to nursing homes, bro, I don't think I met one person who was born in England that decided to take that job up. Because, bro, I think it's insulting to belittle the work that care workers do. It's not an easy job. I wouldn't call it high skilled, but I wouldn't call it easy. Far from easy. I couldn't do it. I'll do it for my family members, 100%, you know? You're my family. Like, that's what I'm there for. But me working, doing it, no chance. 0% chance, no chance. I'd rather do OnlyFans and live in a Cambodia apartment that costs me £200 a month, bro. I'd rather do that than work in a nursing home. If you're talking 100 grand a year, I'll be like, I probably still won't do it. I'd rather do something else. It's just not for me. And I think a lot of people born here feel the same way. I can't see many people taking up this job or taking this career path, you know, taking it on. I can't. So we're going full circle. We're going back to what we were discussing earlier on in the video with what they proposed on this white paper, because this original visa was introduced in 2020. It was introduced in July 2020. And at first it was there to help the NHS. You need to remember, guys, pandemic times. Oh, clap for the NHS. You know, yeah, we need to do things for the NHS. Yes, you know what I mean? Big up the NHS as well. I had a problem with my knee. It took them like 7 months for them to give me an appointment, and I missed the appointment. So I'm not even going to bother anymore. You know what? I might just go to a private hospital in Turkey or something, bro, and just get them to look at it, bro. Honestly, I'm not trying to wait again, you know? I missed my golden ticket. I had the golden ticket. I missed it. It's going to be, God knows when I'm going to get that again. I'm just getting back into running again, because I was meant to run a half marathon in December. And in November, when I was training for it, my knee started giving out. Like, my knee, I'd run for a couple kilometers, then my knee just was dead. When I was working for the delivery company that I've told you guys I couldn't stand, yeah, I made a video on them, all right? I remember I delivered like 4 heavy chairs to one lady, and it was one of them house flats, like, and she lived on the very top, no lift, nothing, and my knee was dead. Like, my knee, I could barely walk, like, because I'd been putting too much strain on it, you know what I mean? So I brought them all to the door, and then she's like, oh, you're gonna help me bring them up? And I said, oh, sorry, I can't, like, because I had another delivery to do quickly. And she looked visibly pissed off, this, that, and I was just like, you know what, like, I should help you, you know? It's stupid for me, a big ass guy, not to help you, a woman here on your own, bring these up to the top, you know? So I said, let me just do this delivery, couple doors down, then I'll come back and help you, all right? Even with my knee aching, I said, you know what, I'll just do it, cool, all right. Do that other delivery, come back, lift up, bring one of them to the top of the stairs, yeah? And I'm just, bro, my knee was done. I'm like, yeah, this, bro. Like, I just went right back downstairs. Didn't even say a word to her, I'll be real, because I was in so much pain. I just got in the van and I just drove back, bro. I feel bad for that, for doing that to her. She's probably thinking, what an arsehole. But fam, my knee was dead. I literally could not, I was struggling to walk. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna break my leg for you, especially not for this company. I didn't even have to do that, to be honest. I really didn't have to bring it up there. I really didn't. And I tried. Normally I would if my knee wasn't messed up, but hey. But then they decided to extend the visa to care workers, you know, people who work in care homes, because of the effects of Brexit, because over like 100,000 people left from after Brexit, and these vacancies needed to be filled, and they still need to be filled now in 2025. And reading here the amount of people that came, it still doesn't fill the vacancies that were left behind after Brexit. They're still very understaffed. And now the government has published this white paper, which is going to make it even more difficult for care homes to recruit people. Even this article here, flawed UK visa scheme led to horrific care worker abuse. Anti-slavery commissioner says scheme to plug staffing gaps post-Brexit was a blunt instrument that enabled exploitation of the vulnerable, which I agree with. I'll link the video on screen. We did a video about a guy who was, I don't even think he got arrested. He's still running this company that charges people 10 to 20 grand to get them here on a care worker's visa. So I agree that there does need to be some reform to the visa, because you've got people like my man exploiting it, and you've got the anti-slavery commissioner. You know what I mean? Like, it gets dark. In that video, we even look at people who've come here and they've been twanged, so there's not really a job for them, and they're just stuck here, not able to do anything. They owe their family back home money. You know, people from Nigeria, people from Philippines, people from even Zimbabwe, people from, where else they're from, people from India, like bare people. But one thing that I'm concerned about, guys, is that there is no strategy. Like, how are you going to get people into working in care? Nobody wants to do that, bro. Nobody born here wants to do that, bro. Like, nobody, bro. Nobody that I know, at least, would even consider that, bro. Even if you double the pay, it's still going to be difficult. And if you double the pay, all that's going to do is cost taxpayers more. It's going to cost people paying to put their loved ones in care homes more. That's all that's going to happen. And in the short term, it might force some of these nursing homes to close down because they're unable to get the staff. Or it's going to force them to go to agencies. You know how agencies work, bro. Agencies, they want their fee for finding the people to bring to you. So you end up paying like double what you'd normally pay by going through an agency. But these homes, they haven't got a choice, because there's no, it's just a mess. It's just a whole mess. The original visa, the way it was before, it worked in helping care homes get positions filled. But in many other areas, as I've described in this video, it failed. It failed so much to the point that I didn't even know there was an anti-slavery commissioner. But hearing that in the United Kingdom in 2025 is crazy. Clearly the scheme failed. But people my age and millennials, they always complain about, older people have all the wealth, they have all their pension, all this stuff like that. But this could seriously screw up care homes. Like, it could screw up things for older people massively, your elderly loved ones. And it could screw up a lot of other sectors, as I think. Like, I don't think people are talking about that. Like, it's gonna shake, it's gonna rock the boat a little bit. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love.